All right, we are moving on to our next lesson. This is session 2 for lesson 2. Again, we're trying to find volume using unit cubes, and we're slowly working our way to doing the multiplication and using formulas to find the answer. So let's continue. So the main theme for this, our targets for this lesson, are being able to get volume just using the unit cubes, and also being able to find the volume um, of a rectangular prism with each side being a whole number, and understanding that we pack all of our unit cubes together to get our answer. All right, if you're listening from home or working on your own, open up your workbook to page 21. That's where we'll be starting our notes. Again, for videos, you can pause at any time if I'm going too fast. All right, so Abigail uses cardboard to build a rectangular prism like the one shown below. What is the volume of the prism? So if you're in class, this is a point where we discuss what strategies you'd use to find the volume. So there's a few that I'm going to go over now that you could have used. The first one here is you can just count the unit cubes that are there. So you could count them individually. For example, just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd say I've got 6 cubes per slice, and there's 4 slices. So I'll do 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. And that gives me 24 cubic centimeters. Or you can do it another way, trying to find one layer. So we have our first layer here on the left. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has 8 per layer. And then we notice here, looking at the right-hand picture, that there's 3 total layers. So we know that's 8 plus 8 plus 8, which also gives us 24. So either technique can be used to get the final answer of 24 cubic centimeters. So the main thing we want to do is to look at that model on the previous page, and we want to count the number of cubes in one layer. So again, we knew that each layer has 8 cubes. So we've got 8 cubes in each layer, so write this in your book. And how could you find the number of cubes in one layer without counting the cubes? Um, that could be pretty simple by basically taking a look at that layer, and you notice that there's 2 rows and each row has 4. So I could do 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Or some of you are thinking, well, if I know there's 2 per row and then there's 4 rows, I just do 2 times 4, and that equals 8. So instead of individually counting, we're just trying to have you guys look at the numbers and being able to do the multiplication right away. Once you know how many cubes are in one layer, what else do you need to know to find the volume? You need to know how many layers. So go ahead and copy this down in your notes. There we go. Just got to know the layers and how much are in each layer. I do that, I'll erase. All right, now there are 8 cubes in each layer and there are 3 layers. What multiplication expression can you write to find the volume of the prism? That's pretty straightforward. You just do a simple 8 times 3. And so what's the volume of Abigail's rectangular prism? It's 24. Now, this is where you've got to be careful and put down cubic centimeters. You can say cubic centimeters, or you can do centimeters with a little 3 by it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in future lessons. Explain how I can use multiplication to find the volume of a rectangular prism. That's pretty simple. You can multiply each 3 of the different measurements, the length, the width, and the height, and get your answer. Or you can use multiplication to find the base layer of your rectangular prism, and then multiply that number that you come up with for the base layer by how many layers there are. So that's not really a note you need to jot down. All right. So this is just more of a discussion question, nothing really to write down. Now, we talk about in math, there's many different ways to find the answers to things. Whatever strategy works best or that makes more sense to you is the one that I encourage you to use. All right, so this question, what is the volume of the rectangular prism at the right? Show your work. Now, this again, you can use several different techniques to find the answer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this like this has like a big slice, like a slice of bread, and I notice that one slice is 9 cubes. And then I see that there's 3 slices. So then I go, okay, so my answer is 27. But again, since we are using inches, I have to make sure that my answer is written as cubic inches or cubic inches. Both of these are the same, so you can use whatever you like. Next question. Mr. Wong finds the volume of a box by filling it with 1 foot. So I would underline that to remind me to put that in my answer. 1 foot unit cubes is shown below. What's the volume of Mr. Wong's box? Show your work. Well, I'm going to look here and see that this slice has 4 per slice. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 slices. So 4 times 6. And that gives me 24. And this is feet. So these are cubic feet. Remember, we get the phrase cubic whatever for volume because we're literally using cubes. Easy to remember. And we have one more question. Last question. Jamila wants to find the volume of the rectangular box at the right. What is the volume of the box? Well, you could pretend you have this cube and you could drop it in the box and work it like that. But I know that what I can do is take these numbers, take this 3 and take this 2, and that's going to create, I know, a base layer of 6. And then it's 6 centimeters high, so I know that's 6. And that's going to give me a 36. Now, this is a tricky one because look at this. They gave you the answer in centimeters and inches. So since our cube right here is in centimeters and all our measurements are in centimeters, letter C is the one that we want. We don't want to mistakenly take this one. So be careful with that.